What you doing?
Hey there, hi there, hello there. Welcome to an all-new episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and so much more. I'm your host, Josh Scar, and joining me as always is my co-host, Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
Having a lovely day, and I'm excited about this week's episode. I've seen into the black void of my crystal ball, and I believe we summoned a Matthew.
We did. It's a what you doing, and therefore a Matthew must arrive, the star of the show. Matt, how are you doing?
He's back. I'm back. I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Hey, we're here to serve you.
Is that right?
Mhm.
As the star of the show, yeah, I guess.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, that's going to change things around here.
We're going to make some changes here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a week for me. I know it's been one for you too, Alex. I know daylight savings time, your protest did not work the way you had hoped,
Nope.
but it'll be okay.
Are you're just going off the old clock still, or
Mm-hmm.
you're just late for everything, or early, however as the case may be?
Yeah, my protest is I'm going to just hang out, and I'm going to show up an hour late to everything, and they can suck it.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
It's really crazy.
We were supposed to start this at like 4 p.m.
I know. That's why I just showed up.
Yeah.
It's really crazy that we've had legislation on the table for getting rid of daylight savings time for what, like 2 decades at this point, and they always just falter on the like, well, how do we decide which side of the clock to go on? And like, that's your sticking point. That's the problem.
There we go. We're getting political again. There
I
we
think
go.
in the current political climate, like that's the least political thing we could be upset about.
Hey, I'm just upset that my feeding schedule is off now.
Everyone's getting up an hour earlier than I'm used to. My Zoomies are hitting later.
Exactly. You know what? So tonight, 3 a.m., I'm getting the yowls. And that's
Your
on you
3
guys.
a.m. or like our new 4 a.m. with daylight savings? Or I
I
guess
can't
it would
read
be
a
2
clock.
a.m.
What do you expect me to do?
Whatever your body has determined is 3 a.m.
When it's
You
3
will-
a.m., it's 3 a.m.
Your
Mhm.
internal clock.
It's
is the
3 a.m. You
biological
must
clock.
be lonely.
Mhm.
I'll be sleeping in a big bed with my wife. So
I'm going to sprint right up there, do circles around.
okay, if you want to run up here to Madison
Make some biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
in the weather we're about to have,
I'll pay the Uber surcharge. I'll get up there.
okay, all right.
All right. Well, we're going to hear from our friends over at the No 115 Allcast. And when we come back, we are going to talk What You Doing?
I'm 15. No, I'm 15. No, I'm 15. No, I'm 15.
So, what's our show about? It's about some dudes talking about movies, just like this.
With Goofy screaming with them.
So you're talking that they should have replaced it like with a Tom and Jerry scream or something like that?
Or you might hear something like this.
Oh my gosh.
That whole movie, waiting to see what happens with Blanca, is like the most aggravating thing in that film. But for the most part, we talk movies from the 80s, 90s, and today. And if you grace us with your ear time, you might hear one of these 30-second gems like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did
You
not get a
watch it?
chance to watch this one this week.
Give it to him anyways.
We're
Let him
gonna give it to you, but anyway, you ready?
I'm gonna give you
No,
the
no.
30-second review of Tron Uprising.
All right. Start the clock and then. So give us a shot and listen to the No 115 Allcast wherever you listen to your podcasts.
No, I'm 15.
No 115, top tier nostalgia podcast. They just recently did an episode on RoboCop. Give it a listen. Give Caesar your downloads and your reviews. It's all a good time and good people. So definitely check them out. And in lieu of doing a regular episode, like we're not going to review anything that's happened. We're not going to review Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which maybe that's something that comes up here. We're going to do What You Doing, which is where we come together and just talk about the nerdy things we're enjoying away from the podcast that we normally wouldn't be making content about. But hey, we're going to make content about it some way or another. So let's do it this way. I normally kick it off by handing it over to one of you guys, but I'm going to take the reins on this one because I really want to talk about Dispatch.
Host's privilege.
Exactly. Home field advantage.
Matt, did he clear that with you?
He didn't say shit to me.
Oh, I'm going to write it up with HR then.
It's a good thing I'm HR as well.
Oh, damn, forgot about
your
that.
complaint has been heard and filed.
Oh.
But yeah, I've played 2 run-throughs of the episodic Telltale style game Dispatch, and it is really fun. Based on my estimations, there's probably about like 16 to 20 variations on the endings that you can get. So that's pretty cool. And have either of you guys played it yet?
No, but I have access to it. I just have not found time to actually sit and play it. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. Do we have some context on what the game is?
Yeah,
is
it's
about?
an episodic game. So like each episode takes about an hour to play. You play as Robert Robertson, which I thought was a really strange name considering there's a very famous Spider-Man character named Robbie Robertson.
That's why it has to be Robert. You don't
Well,
want that.
he's Robert Robertson III, and his dad was Robbie Robertson. So I mean, I guess Robbie Robertson Jr. But he's a superhero called Mecha Man. None of this is spoilers. This all happens in the tutorial. His suit gets damaged, and he is unable to repair it to continue superheroing. So he gets recruited by the Superhero Dispatch Network, and he just he gets a desk job where he gets to coach and send different heroes out into the field, and he gets a ragtag group of reformed villains, and hilarity and drama ensues. I don't want to spoil too much beyond there, but there's romance, there's laugh, there's potential tears, really good chemistry. Jeffrey Wright's in this as a wonderful character that is hilarious. The writing is on point. The only issue I really had, which I got over it pretty quickly, who plays Aaron Paul? Is that Jesse
Aaron Paul.
from?
Yeah, is the main character.
He's Robert Robertson / Mecha Man. And I didn't think the voice really fit for a really long while. But I think I settled into it by like episode 3. So like 2 hours in out of 8 hours.
Yeah. Aaron Paul is a dude who is he is an incredible actor within, I think, like a very specific set of parameters. So it is interesting to imagine, from what I've seen of the game, the guy who's kind of in a clean cut office setting, that guy as the meth cook from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he also has a recurring role in Invincible, and I really didn't dig his performance in that one either. Like, I don't know that he has great voice acting chops.
Yeah,
but I think he settled into this one a little bit better than what he did with what he had in Invincible. But it is very just monotone, very little emphasis on things. Like the dialogue does a lot of the heavy lifting with that.
yeah, and that's a thing that's tough too. I think with anyone who is a really good actor that steps into voice acting work, it's like they are different skill sets. They're related, but they're different, right? So it's like maybe not everybody is. It's not as easy for everybody to make that transition from one to the other,
So the game is very episodic. Like there's quick time events that kind of help keep you engaged as far as like the gaming side, but you can also turn that off and you can just basically make choices and watch the game unfold. The main gameplay loop is that you're sitting at your desk and you have to answer calls and send the right hero on the call. But the only thing you get is you have to endure the onslaught of the river that's flooding the area. And so you have to decide what does surviving the onslaught mean? Does that mean do you need to have high defense? Do you need to have high strength? What is it? Because strength and defense are kind of separated in this. And so you have to kind of gauge what you want to do. And you could also hedge your bets and send a couple or more heroes in certain events, but then you're shorthanding yourself other places. So there might be a more difficult call that comes in that you have to send maybe 3 heroes on, but you only have one available because you've kind of over sourced on other parts of the game. And then you can level up your heroes and stuff too as they get along. So it's really engaging, and it's kind of fun to see where you kind of like choose to put the eggs in your basket for your heroes and like what skills you choose to invest in, because if you want to have like a balanced hero as the game progresses on, that balance is probably going to be a little bit of a weakness. But if you play it to like one or two strengths, you'll probably do better, but you need to make sure that you complement it throughout the rest of your roster. So like there's
Right.
a whole psychological aspect to this game, which I really don't know how much it actually affects the story outside of like the choices you make, but it is a fun little mini game to throw into it to kind of keep you engaged with the characters.
Yeah, like I said, it's one that's definitely on my radar just because I've heard nothing but good things. I listen to a not insignificant number of like gaming podcasts to while away my hours, and many of them, like late last year when this kind of hit out of nowhere, sung its praises. Like friends I and before you, other friends have like recommended it to me, and I know it's just like because it's like 8 about hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
That's not too heavy of a lift if I wanted to run through it once, but I just have not found the time for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I knocked it on like over a weekend, and then I knocked it out on like one Saturday, whereas like I'm not doing anything else. I really just feel like doing this. And now I've convinced Ricky to let me, I bought an adapter for my Steam Deck. So I'm going to
Ooh.
like sync that up to our TV in our bedroom. And I made like a preset list of choices that aren't spoilery, but like, so like, who's going to be your love interest? Are you going to trust this person? Or are you going to distrust them? And different things like that. And so I'm making her make those choices so I can like kind of know where I'm going to go in the story of the game as I play through for her.
How did it work on the Steam Deck? That's probably the way I will end up
On the
playing
Steam
it.
Deck, it's seamless.
Okay, good.
It runs really smoothly. I had no issues with it. The only time I had issues was when I was doing the Steam Link, where like you can stream
where
it
it's
to your
connected to the
computer.
TV. Yeah.
But that's what led me to buy the adapter, is because obviously a 1-to-1 HDMI connection is better than streaming. So yeah, that's Dispatch. Strongly recommend it. Matt, what you doing?
Well, I will keep the gamer train rolling. I've been playing a couple of games recently, and one of them, I'll go with the oldest one first. I have been playing Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, which is a remaster or remake, something along those lines, of the original PS1 game that first came out in, I believe, 1997, same year as Final Fantasy VII. So big year for Square. But it is a game, I'm a bit of a Final Fantasy diehard. I've been playing them for half my life or more at this point. But I've never played Tactics. I just missed it. I have tried it a couple times. There was a separate remake on the PSP about 10 or so years ago that I bought and then tried a couple times before falling off it. But for whatever reason, this time it has clicked and stuck. And so if you don't know it, it is basically a strategy RPG. So you're dealing with like, instead of the normal like RPG battle format where it's like your whole party against another party and you're all going at once, you're doing battles where you're taking like up to 5 individual units against some enemy force, and you're dealing with a small map with like terrain, and you are positioning and using your abilities and attacking and finding ways to complete your objective, which is usually just wipe out all the enemies, but usually it's like defend a character or wipe out a specific like boss enemy, things like that. And it's very heavily influenced by like the job system. So it's like, you have all these units that are, all of them can be one of about, I think not quite 24 jobs that are all like the classic Final Fantasy jobs, white mage, black mage, all that stuff that you gain points that you can use to invest in abilities as you level up and stuff. So really solid game, especially if you are like me and I've decided you don't have anybody to impress and are playing on baby easy mode, which can still be tough at times. And it definitely has like one of the best stories of a Final Fantasy game, especially of that era, where it's very much about like it's very inspired by the War of the Roses, the historic War of the Roses, where it's like a war of succession between within a family, and like the main character is somebody from a noble house who is sort of walked away from that after a tragedy, and then gets caught up in like these big like geopolitical events, and it's all filtered through politics and like birthrights and the role of the church and all kinds of stuff. But also it's like chocobos and magic spells and summon enemies and kill God and stuff. So it's good.
But the thing that I remember the most about it is, since it's very medievalish, you could eventually earn Excalibur.
Yeah.
And then you can earn the knockoff Excalibur.
Yep.
which has like negative stats to it. And it was great. I just remember working my ass. I was like, I have Excalibur. And then eventually like find like you kill somebody and it's like, and this is Excalibur. What the heck is just little jokes like that are just fantastic. And of course, going from Final Fantasy VII of being just this mind-blowing 3-disc game where you enter a ship and you have to swap disc, and then that made grinding suck, to then go to like, well, this is a cell, a cell-based tactics game. Okay, this is going to be annoying, but the story was fantastic and its combat was better. It's just a damn good game.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I'm finally getting through it, because it's always one of those ones where I've played all three of the other Final Fantasy games of that era and love them, but that one just passed me by. So I think this version came out last year, like in October, maybe November, for PS5 and Xbox and Switch and stuff. And so I took the opportunity to finally dive in. And I've been playing it off and on. Like I've gotten, kind of ebbs and flows where some other game will come out and then that'll distract me for a while and then I'll come back to it. So right now I'm on more of a flow, so to speak, where I'm like, finished the last game I was playing, which I'll talk about later, and now I'm back like in the Final Fantasy Tactics mines, where trying to kill the church, which has branded me a heretic, and I'm on the run.
So what's the key difference in tactics games for Final Fantasy? Is it just the art direction more than anything?
So really it's the biggest thing is it's a mechanical difference, and there is a visual look where like the Final Fantasy Tactics does have more of a like very
like simplistic.
Slick, well, I would say it's yes and no. It's pixel art graphics, but like because it's on PS1, it's like much more beautiful and slick than like you would think of with pixel art graphics compared to like the polygons of Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, right? But ultimately the thing is, did you ever play? Are you familiar at all with Shining Force or Fire Emblem or anything like that?
Fire Emblem. Yeah, Ricky's recently gotten into that.
It's basically like that, where it's like you're controlling individual units on a battlefield against another army, as opposed to the more traditional turn-based role-playing game combat system. And like the most of the story is expressed in that way, as opposed to you're going to a different town, you're going to you're running around an overworld, things like that. There's some like exploration and stuff, but it's mostly insofar as you have a big map with like nodes you can travel to, and there's the node where your next story thing is, and among the map there's like all these little nodes where if you want you can just go and do a battle where it's like, I need to grind out some levels or something with my character. So you can do like quote unquote random battles, but it is much less of it's much more of a focused thing, and the combat is more you have 5 units that you are picking and choosing as you see fit, and you're moving them around individually on a map, as opposed to everyone is standing in a line and you're choosing their attacks and then they go,
Gotcha. Okay. Alex, what you doing?
Well, to keep our video game train rolling, I have been playing the demo for Darkhaven.
Okay.
It's currently an active Kickstarter. It is a new game from the lead designer of Diablo and Diablo 1 and 2, as well as Hellgate London, Torchlight, as well as a character artist for Diablo 2 and the expansions, and one of the lead engineers and programmers. They released this demo. Basically, their pitch is, this is a game we've wanted to make for a very long time. They didn't work on Diablo 3, which was not very well received. Diablo 4 hasn't been much better received. Of course, Diablo 3 directly led to basically people saying, we love Diablo 2 so much, we're going to make Path of Exile. And then when Diablo 4 didn't quite scratch that itch, they said, well, we're going to make Path of Exile 2 as well. So there's this love and admiration for Diablo 2. Heck, it even got its first new class update in 15 years a few weeks ago. It was a paid add-on for the Diablo remaster, not the original Diablo 2 that got kicking around on some CD somewhere. But their pitch is, hey, listen, we've been kicking around for a while. We've talked about what our version of Diablo 3 would have been, and this is Darkhaven. So it's the same kind of style, that isometric ARPG style. The demo includes one class, which is the Witch. You can go up to level 8. It gets a little bit of story, the story hub of the world. Very procedurally generated. There's going to be a story. There's day and night cycles. The world is very destructive. Like, you can destruct down and build up. So when you go into when you pop into a dungeon, if you can be tactically I want to knock off this part of the wall that has the river in it, and the river will start diverting, and then you can guide it to other areas, to flood areas if you want. You can do that with their lava system as well. I like to do that, but some of the dungeons have a lot of lava in it, so I will knock down portions. It starts flowing, and I'm like, cool, wipe out that tunnel for me, and I'll go around, and all the enemies will be dead. And it just has weirdly scratched an itch that that I've been playing Path of Exile or Path of Exile 2 hasn't done for me. That is just yeah, this feels like the Diablo I remember. This feels like the world I remember, where you can customize your character a bit. You can play with builds, playing with the loot drop system that's happening. I think I've re-rolled 4 or 5 times now, just because I'm trying to figure out how their skill tree is going to work. And each time I get a little bit better at it, because they added in the demo an endless dungeon that will just progressively get harder. So even though you stop at level 8, I push to level 15, which is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I'm level 8, everything's level 15. To unlock the boss for level 16, I would kill something that's level 17 to unlock the next part of it. And it scratches that itch that, the randomization, but the tuning of your character, the excitement of what is the next piece of randomized loot that's gonna drop. They already included some of how they're gonna be building customizable loot through socketing systems, Path of Exile does. And so even if you get something that's a very rare drop, it still might not beat out something that I'm carrying around that has a few sockets in it that is a piece of gray armor. And I like that. We'll see if their Kickstarter goes to completion. They've been working on it for about 5 years now. They say they want to go into basically early access later this year, and the Kickstarter will help them smooth that path without taking additional investments. But we'll see. I hope they do it, because it looks, even for being a demo alpha, it plays very well. It's very smooth. The world is fun. They've actually been taking feedback on it as they're the Kickstarter, and we've actually been patching the game to add stuff to the demo.
Yeah, I mean, beta test it with the Kickstarter. That's what you got to do.
So that's what I've been doing. I'm hoping they do they do well at it, hoping that they get into early access, because it's already fun enough with just this one slice of level 1 to 8 that I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Steam now. I'd not heard of it before now, or if I had, it didn't register with me. And it really does just look like Diablo. Even I'm noting the little life and mana orbs here in the UI are just we just took it from Diablo. And the the character gear item screen, just oh yeah, that's like, what if you did Diablo 2, but it looked really good?
Yeah. I mean, you can't knock them. It's got 3 of the main people who did the 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
they're going to have a certain look.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
added this demo to my Steam library already as you were talking, so I will definitely be checking this out.
What have you been doing, Josh?
I'm glad you asked. I have been enjoying the thing that I have been calling Saturday morning cartoons and comic books. The last few times they've done it, I have been reading the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Team Up number 3.
Okay.
This is the 3rd installment of this team up, written by Ryan Parrott. They do have a new artist. Dan Mora was not able to come back for this set. I forget his name at the moment. I'll have to look that up later. But this one is a little darker than the other ones. It starts off at the end of issue 1 with a pretty significant death or apparent death. Well, I'll say that much. Not that anything has been resolved as of the time I have gotten here. But I'm through 4 issues. There's one more issue to go that'll probably release later this month or early April. I hope. This one's been pretty delayed over time just because of how busy everyone is. But it's really good stuff. And one of the big hooks of issue 1 is that Shredder and Zed have used Finster to create shadow morphers. And what those are, it essentially siphons off Morphin energy from the Power Rangers. And it allows like Bebop and Rocksteady to become dark Power Rangers. And there's a handful of other fun characters that get to become Power Rangers, including Goldar. And then the hook of it all is that it's not just like siphoning, as in like there's an even exchange of power, but like the longer battles go on with these Shadow Rangers, the more powerful they become because they're the Shadow Morphers are designed to just continue to take in power. It's not just like, oh, as long as we're in proximity, I get to keep the power. It's like it's continuing to drain their abilities and powers. So it's a nice little power dynamic shift, and it puts the Rangers and the Turtles on a back foot. It does carry over directly from TMNT 2, MMPR TMNT 2. There's a lot of fallout from there. So if you haven't been keeping up, this is not a great like starting point. I would recommend going back to either the very first team up or at least number 2. Then there's one other thing that, oh yeah, there's a really great homage to Super Shredder, but it's Lord Zed gets hit with some mutagen, and he basically becomes like Super Lord Zed with like the mutagen from similar to the Super Shredder. So like, there's a lot of really cool stuff that they're doing.
So sorry, just to clarify, this is the 3rd miniseries they've done. The 3rd issue is the most recent one.
I believe
Is that
issue
right?
4 is out now.
Oh, okay, I see. I misunderstood.
So
before.
they're ramping up towards
Gotcha.
the conclusion of it, but as of right now, I haven't read that one, and
Gotcha.
so
But
I'm
I
not
see.
sure.
Number 3 is the one you're bringing as the most recent one you've read.
Yes.
The double 3s have thrown me. So,
Yeah,
but otherwise,
it's
I go
really
with you.
hard to explain it because they don't throw a subtitle. It's just MMPR/TMNT3 issue 1, 2, 3, so on. So yeah, they don't help themselves with that convention.
Have you been? I know for a while we were both following the Power Rangers comics that like relaunched starting in, what was it?
That was 2015.
2015, and then I think as it became less convenient to get it digitally, I fell off it as someone who's no longer, say, benefiting from your largesse. Have you been keeping up with the books since then? Like, have you been keeping up with them this whole time?
That mainline run finished in 2015 with Melissa Flores' Darkest Hour run.
Right.
But the entire run, I think, if you can get the collections of it, I think it's worth it. If you have any nostalgia for Power Rangers, but you want like modern stories, I think it's all really good. Marguerite Bennett was just announced as doing a new run that's going back to like pre-Green Ranger Power Rangers, and they're also doing like a weird costume redesign that it makes them look like knockoff Ranger characters. Like, I'd recommend looking it up. Instead of like doing like the one diamond in the middle and then like the diamond just kind of stretches along the chest, it's like one big diamond in the middle and then there's like 2 little diamonds up top. It's really strange. Like, there's that meme of like Robert Cop where it's a RoboCop toy, but it's like a knockoff, so they can't call it RoboCop. It kind of looks like that.
Is this upcoming run the first like ongoing they've had since Melissa Flores finished that you know of? That's what I'm wondering. Is like,
it's the first mainline like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers one they've had since the Darkest Hour run ended. But there have been like spin-offs. They did Ranger Academy, and then they're currently doing Power Rangers Prime, which is like a prequel series that kind of gives like Rita's origin as how she becomes the witch that she is and the villain that she is. But it's really good stuff. Melissa Flores, really great writer. We've had her on the podcast a few times.
friend of the show.
Friend of the show. But Prime, I believe, is set to end with issue 15 or 16. And then they're going to just like do a full reset, go back to issue 1 with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with Marguerite Bennett as the head writer on that one.
But you've been following the comics, Power Rangers comics generally in a general
since 2015, yes. Since
2015.
Kyle Higgins took off with it, yeah.
So how does this stack up against those, and how are they generally?
We're talking the TMNT crossover.
Yeah.
I rate them as highly as I can, like especially considering these are like condensed stories into a 5-issue arc. Like it's really hard to not just be like, oh yeah, like you don't have to invest any more than 5 issues.
Sure,
You get a full story in that. It's great. I absolutely love. Again, I've talked about these comics ad nauseum. I absolutely love the 2015 to 2015 run. I don't think there's really a lot of downside to any of them. But these TMNT crossovers that Ryan Parrott has done, he wrote over 50 issues of that 2015 to 2025 run. He just understands what makes these characters work and what makes them work together as well. And
Gotcha.
so it's just really, really great stuff, especially for a 90s kid growing up in like the late 80s, going into the 90s. It's just exactly what I want from a crossover like this.
This one especially, like you see that kind of stuff all the time. Like there was the TMNT Batman one. There was like recently a Justice League versus like Godzilla and King Kong one, things like that.
Toho is going real crazy with those Godzilla ones. Like I think they just wrapped up Power Rangers Godzilla 2, which I have the first run of Power Rangers Godzilla, and I was like, it's fine, but I don't like the Ranger design just kind of grossed me out because like I think they were trying to make them look a little bit like monsters as well. They just were like super toned and like you could just see all the muscles rippling through their suits.
Maybe the
and
Power
just, like,
Rangers are the real monsters. If you think about it.
Yeah, you never know.
But yeah, I think of all those, something like this, TMNT and Power Rangers is like laser focused to try and get like guys like you and me. And I don't know your familiarity with them, Alex, but we're a couple of 90s kids at least, where it's like, oh yeah, we are trying to part you from your money with this one, very much so. And hopefully it sounds like at least it is also good while we're doing that.
So Matt, what you doing?
Well, like I said, I'm back, and I gotta be me. I've been watching something on TV. Our wonderful friends. Nothing bad to say about our friends over at Paramount. They've been making a brand new TV show in that franchise. You know it. You love it. It's Star Trek. You gotta watch it. They just wrapped, as of this recording, just a few days ago, wrapped the first season of their we'll see, show, Starfleet Academy. And there's been a lot, as there always is, because it's 2026 and every nerd thing is now a culture war. There's a lot of capital D discourse about this show on the internet. And I'm here to tell you, it's pretty good. It's got the juice, I think. So the quick rundown is basically, it is essentially a spin-off of Star Trek Discovery, insofar as like in the later seasons of Star Trek Discovery, that ship finds itself like way in the far future of the Federation, as a way to like separate themselves from the questions of continuity that were annoying them from fans. So that show is like, fuck it, we're going to the 32nd century. We don't give a fuck anymore. And part of the setup there is when they get there, everything is all fucked up. The Federation is in like dire straits. Lots of planets have left. Blah, 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 blah. They fix it. They save the day. So now this show picks up a few years later where for the first time in like 100 years, Starfleet Academy is operating out of San Francisco again. Part of that, all that shit was at Earth left the Federation. Now it's back. So it's the first class of Starfleet Academy in the classic San Francisco setting in a century. And it is basically just what you would expect from a high school / college show filtered through Star Trek, right? There's like the teen drama. There's a bunch of classic archetypes from those kinds of stories. Like you've got your outsider, your jock, your like high achiever, your naive person, things like that. Having like little Star Trek adventures, big and small. And, you know, I think I've said as much on this show in the past, but I generally am someone who there's a baseline level of enjoyment that I've gotten out of almost every thing in like the quote unquote new Trek era. But you know, some shows are better than others, and I was not sure what to expect going into this. And in fact, I would say, depending on what your preferences are, the first episode does not strictly put its best foot forward because it's like a very much a big action episode in the vein of something like a Star Trek Discovery, where there's like lots of explosions, lots of big CG stuff as a way of like establishing all our characters. We are very firmly set in that like 32nd century time frame, which I know there's a number of people who don't prefer that. But once it kind of establishes like, here's the stakes, here's the characters, here's like the main plot that we're going to be touching base every so often throughout the season, it settles into like a show that is very good at doing these like kind of episodic, like here's a story of the week that kind of touches on whatever this character's deal is over the course of the season, right? And yeah, I just there's like an episode that's like a love letter to Deep Space Nine and Avery Brooks specifically, but it's also sort of like it has a lot of little references like that. Like Robert Picardo is here as the Doctor from Voyager, but it almost always makes sure not to like lose sight of we're just doing a reference or like slavishly doing fan service, because it always manages to like anchor it with like the characters who are on this show. Where like that Deep Space Nine episode is very much about how like a specific character who is like learning about Cisco feels about it and like how it relates to her sort of experience and the expectations she feels as someone who is kind of in a similar position in terms of like quote unquote being an emissary for her people. It's good. I don't know. I could ramble for a while, but happy to shut the fuck up for a second.
So I've heard that it's kind of like an old WB CW teen drama in a Star Trek universe.
Yeah.
Is that?
I would say that's relatively accurate in terms of like, and I think that's kind of what the thing that I've seen people say that as like a derogatory sense. And, you know, whatever you're into is whatever you're into. But my vibe is like, what else do you think they're going to do with a show set at like the Starfleet school, right? Where it's like young people hanging out doing studies. So it's like you got, you know, romances, you've got like love triangles, you've got people kind of figuring themselves out for the first time in that sort of WB sense, kind of a soapy way that's sometimes filtered through like the big adventure of the week. So I would say that's relatively accurate, but for my money, I think that is like what you want from that kind of premise. And it's like a good thing. It's what you should be doing with that kind of show.
Alex, what you doing?
You look deep in thought.
I have a small issue, and I think I need to blame it on Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan or Michael B. Jordan?
Michael Jordan, the basketball player.
Michael A. Jordan, you could say.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
No, he's Michael Jordan. There's a reason why Michael B. Jordan had to put a B in his name, because there's already a Michael Jordan.
It could be Michael A. Jordan because he's Michael Air Jordan.
During the pandemic, they released an amazing documentary called The Last Dance.
Mhm.
Yeah. He took that personally.
Beautiful, wonderful, captivated the world. So much so that as it was airing, they're like, we have to do one about Kobe. Yeah, it's like, no. You got to get this time to breathe.
Was this before or after the thing with Kobe happened?
I actually don't remember when I know something happened.
I mean, are we talking about the lawsuit where he changed his number, or the
No, where he. I don't
Oh,
know.
no, actually,
where he died?
No, where he died. Okay, so yeah, he died before The Last Dance came out. Okay,
I'm sorry I said alive. It was meant to be a joke, but it came out more sincere than I wanted.
We know that the documentary was featured around Jordan. They had to get his permission. Hell, they even rented a house for him to hang out in, to smoke and be like, I took that personally. I like that the documentary featured a lot of the dirtiness, the seediness of him. Like, he's an addictive personality who must win. He's playing quarters before games with security guards trying to steal their money. Michael Jordan, worth hundreds of millions of dollars, must win at quarters against a security guard. You know, they didn't really gloss over the fact that he's an abrasive fuck. Heck, you know, like some of his teammates were like, yeah, we love being with him, but he was a dick. And then they didn't cut out the parts for him where he's being a jerk. He's like, hey, maybe Pippen should have, negotiated better for his contract, But since then, we've gotten a slew of documentaries involving the people that they're around. And like the Stallone one was very much a puff piece versus the Schwarzenegger one was warts and all. Schwarzenegger talking about using his steroids, talking about the affairs, how it destroyed his family. The end of the Schwarzenegger documentary that came out on Netflix wasn't hopeful. He's an old man reminiscing about his broken marriage that he screwed everything up about. The Charlie Sheen one that just came out. Charlie Sheen admits to all the crap he did. His exes talk about all the crap he did. But then we have these puff piece ones that are a dime a dozen that constantly are appearing on Hulu and Netflix. And I came across one that I was really excited about that I thought would be good. Mel Brooks, the 99-year-old man. A lot of it was good. I did not know a lot of his beginning career because to me, Mel Brooks appeared fully formed with Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Men in Tights, Spaceballs. And they had, his sons involved because he had he had 2 marriages. But what bothered me about it, and the people shepherding the documentary do a good job. It's 2 90-minute episodes. It covers the beginning, his childhood, beginning of his career all the way up. Mel Brooks, for being 99, has a sharp as hell memory. They interlace a lot. I didn't realize how much of a talk show staple he was in the 50s to the 90s, appearing on everything. You do get a sense of how annoying he must be as a person because he just constantly interjects in interviews and just takes them over. And I'm like, is that where Robin Williams learned how to be interviewed? Because he would just take over an interview with other people there and just start singing or like just answering their questions asked to other people. But the problem I had with it is I looked it up because it kind of, there was a few things that he touched on that the children touched on. And mind you, his children are, the youngest one is 50 something, Max Brooks of, World War Z fame. As I mentioned, oh, my father was gone a lot, or, oh, my father had a lot of anger when he wasn't working. And I'm like, okay, can you go more into that? But it turned out what happened with his first marriage, which kind of is like, well, I was making $10,000 a week working on this TV show. And then I had no job for like 5 years. So I got with, not Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner. I got with him and we started doing skits and shows and the 1,000-year-old man and these other bits and stuff. And he's like, my marriage suffered and it moved on. So I looked it up. He abandoned his wife and kids to try to pursue a career in Hollywood. And she sued for estrangement and a dereliction of marriage and other stuff. And it was a protracted divorce. And I'm like, you couldn't have mentioned like some of this, like, yeah, I was a selfish dick. No, it just moved on to, and then Anne Bancroft, I met her and saved my life. And I'm like, there's a 7-year gap here where you abandon your family. So much so that when
Yep.
you showed back up in New York, you were shocked when you were served a, police records and a divorced man. And then I realized, yeah, like that's kind of bothered me because the people filming these and around these have to have permission from the person who's being interviewed. And when they don't, when they do, it typically involves, we're going to gloss over the bad crap. You have to have somebody who's willing to express, to be humble. It's actually one of the things I liked when I was watching the Pee Wee Herman one, Pee Wee as himself, is that when it got to the rough points of Paul Rubin's career, he just stopped talking to them. And they're like, well, we are out of interview stuff, but we're going to press forward because he gave us all the stuff and we're talking about his life. We're moving forward without him. And then it ends basically with him because he hadn't told anyone but those very close to him that he was very sick and dying. He called them like a day or two before he died and gave his final statement about what he wanted to his final statement about his life to them that they played because it was just a phone call. So it was a voice message. So I liked that. But there's just way too many of these fluffy, we can't kids glove stuff documentaries that I think we need to wait until people have moved on, unalive or no longer alive, as Matt would say, to actually get a documentary because I'm really scared to see like if Leo does one in like next year and they just gloss over the fact that for 20 years his girlfriend stayed the same age. She just has a new name. Because I was really enjoying this until the end of the first episode, because I watched the first episode, then I went to the bed next morning, started this next one. I was like, wait a second, I wanted to look up. I didn't realize he had been married twice. And I saw the actual paragraph, I looked into the documents and I'm like, oh, this is a fluff piece. Damn.
Yep. Yeah, and it's kind of the problem you run into with biopics a lot, right? Where it's like if it's somebody who is alive, or even not, if it's their estate, you like have to get their permission. So it often feels like a big, all the rough edges are sanded off. Just like here's all the cool stuff we did, and maybe we're gonna lightly touch on all the horrific or hard stuff we went through.
Yeah.
So it's a tough nut to crack, I imagine, as like a creator.
If you want this to be done about you, I just wish they had the wherewithal to show them, okay, this is what a good one looks like with The Last Dance. Jordan doesn't come out looking great in that. I mean, yes, he is Michael fucking Jordan, but he doesn't come out looking great
Michael
in that.
F. Jordan.
Yeah, that's right. The Schwarzenegger one, 3 parts, warts and all, everything, and it ends on such a sad note of like he's a 77-year-old man still hitting the gym every damn day, letting his horses and like chickens live in his house with him as he's cooking, talking about his failed marriage. It's like, damn. I mean, heck, the Charlie Sheen one they didn't have his dad on because his dad said, I can't relive his life. I've already lived that out in the press. Because they showed so much footage of his dad in his dad in the 90s saying like, my son needs help. Please make sure he's turned into the police. They even talked to his doctor. He's like, yeah, he was on so much crack that I actually called his drug dealer. I'm like, hey, listen, you and I need to work together to wean him off of this stuff. I can't do it by myself. I need you to help me. And Charlie was like, yeah, they eventually they didn't tell me they were doing it. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, this really isn't getting me high anymore. It's been like months. I guess I'll stop using drugs. It's like that kind of crap is like, tell me if you want the story, I need the whole story. Or I'll hire 50 Cent to do it. Because he ain't holding back crap, man. That was great. 50 Cent hates P. Diddy. And that was a good documentary.
Good for him.
What are you doing, Josh?
So before I get into my last one, I do have a dishonorable mention I really want to get off my chest. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks. I've been catching up on a lot of books that I've been meaning to read. And one of them was Murtagh, the spinoff of the Aragon books. Murtagh is Aragon's half-brother, who is more or less like the Han Solo / Darth Vader of the books. He gets his own spinoff, which opens up really strong. It's almost like they're setting up like a Batman kind of mysteries style story for him to unravel. but it becomes just this deconstruction of a character who has already been deconstructed and gone through all of this bullshit before. Like he's been through mental trauma, he's been through mind wipes, he's been through being forced to do stuff against his will. Because in the Aragon universe, in the world of magic, you have a true name that like it explains you to your core. And the Emperor had discovered his true name, and basically once someone else knows your true name, they have complete power over you if they choose to. And the Emperor, being evil, chose to make him do evil things and unspeakable things. And I think I'm like 2/3 through the book. I just stopped because there's no fun in this book outside of the opening chapter. It's just continuing to bring him down and not have him overcome anything new. It's all similar stuff that he's already been through. And it's so poorly paced. And again, there's no new ideas in it in terms of what character arcs he can go through. And it's really disappointing because the Aragon books are surprisingly good, despite them being Star Wars mixed with dragons. But I was really disappointed in this one. Like I usually will finish a book, but this one got to a point where I was just like, nope, I'm done. He gets mind wiped by a witch and he's doing unspeakable horrors again against his will, more or less. And I'm just like, nope, I'm done. No. So don't read Murtagh. If you want to read a Christopher Paolini book, read the 4 Aragon books and then just consider him retired. He's done.
I'm just going to go watch the movie, I think.
But the main thing I have been doing and enjoying is I've been watching season 2 of Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Finally came out. I only just finished season 1 sometime last year, and I'm completely obsessed with the show. Like Ricky went and bought me a bunch of figures for Christmas and Valentine's. So like I'm fully on board with the weebness of it. Slade has his rule that you're not a weeb until you get a figure. Well, Ricky got me figures, so I'm officially weeb.
Yeah, when did that happen to you, man? There's nothing wrong with it, but when did that happen to you?
Sometime in 2022, 2023, whenever Lewis and Slade gave me a free Crunchyroll subscription.
Okay. All right.
Matt, you're not going to mention the body pillow?
I can't
talk about Ricky that way. That's not happening.
Oh. Hey, you already said you let her out of the room.
That was off mic.
What happens in your bedroom in your home between
no, we're talking about let's get off this. We're talking about
your body
Frieren
pillow and
Beyond
anything
Journey's End
else is
season
not
2.
up to me. It's not up to me. That's not my business.
It's a long white hairs that's sticking off the body pillow that bothers me.
You know what the beautiful part about having home field advantage is? I can cut all this out if I want to.
I mean, is it hand wash only?
It's hand something only.
You got there. You got there to the point where I can't cut this out. Yeah, season 2 starts off really strong. I am a little disappointed because I heard that this is apparently only going to be a 10-episode season after season 1 was like 26 episodes. But I kind of get it because season 1 went through like 7.5 manga volumes and there's only like 14 out now. So if they were to catch up to the manga, they're kind of stuck because I don't even know if they're finished with whatever storyline they're telling in the manga right now. But season 2 kicks off and immediately tugs at my heartstrings because Stark and Fern are getting bigger and I can't even handle my own kids getting bigger. And I see those two and I'm just like, my babies, no time. You're cruel. It's just a lovely show. And I can't recommend it highly enough to anyone that enjoys art is the best way I can explain it.
It seems a little cowardly because in my day, when you ran out of the manga and you needed to spin your wheels, you just did 4 episodes of them like screaming at each other, powering up while you waited.
Hey, or you do the Inuyasha thing. You do 167 episodes, padding out a ton of crap, finally catch up, and then you release a movie a year until she's done with the thing and release the final act, another 26 episodes.
There you go.
Or you do Full Metal Alchemist. You catch up and then you make up your own ending that's so reviled, you immediately start over with that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Didn't Fruits Basket do something similar? Like the 2001 adaptation was not as highly regarded as I think it was like 2019 rerun, reboot, which like that's the one I watched and that one's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there is a history of them like, we're just gonna keep writing forward, and you can take our feedback or not, manga artist. And manga artist goes, no, how dare you?
I prefer the Sailor Moon approach where they just are like, oh yeah, we're just gonna pad this out by making it like one of the best Monster of the Week shows that's ever existed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm sorry, Josh. That was stepping on your thing. What is this anime about?
Wait,
Actually, Alex, you know what? First,
I got one more.
Do your thing.
George R. R. Martin could learn a fucking lot from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Get off the fucking pot, George, and finish the goddamn novels.
So, Matt, for you and anyone who doesn't know, Frieren Beyond Journey's End focuses on an elf mage named Frieren. 80 years prior to the main events of the show, she and a band of heroes defeated the Demon King. And this is kind of the story of like how she perceives time and how this time of 10 years and her thousands of years that she's lived has affected her. And she doesn't even realize it in the moment. Because as an elf, she has an expanded timeline, lifetime, compared to humans. So like the opening sequence of episode 1, season 1, is the heroes triumphantly returning to the capital, and there's this beautiful light show, meteor shower that's happening, and she's like, "Hey, we'll do this again, and I'll take you to my favorite spot." And her party members are like, "That's in like 60 years." And she's like, "Yeah, it'll go by real quick." And her party members are like in their maybe late 20s, early 30s, except for the dwarf. The dwarf is probably a couple hundred years old, since he has a little bit of an expanded lifetime as well. And she comes back, and Himmel, who is like the leader of the party, he's an old man. He's like shrunk 3 feet, and he's bald with a big beard. And so she like takes him to the thing, and they watch at this beautiful spot, and he dies, and she goes and like tries to make amends for other people that she kind of just like forgot about and forgot that time passes differently for other people. And it's really just a beautiful story. It's kind of like the lone wolf with its cub kind of storyline that we've seen like the Mandalorian, God of War sort of thing, but it's in a much more sentimental framing device. It's not as like gritty and just like, boy, you must kill the deer, like defeat the gods. Like it's not that intense. It's just more about like legacies and how legacies can outgrow people even after they're gone and stuff like that too. There's a lot of different messaging, but the main one with Frieren being like an adoptive mom or sister to Fern and Stark, it's a wonderful show that I again, like, I can't thank Slate enough for turning me on to that show. It's just absolutely beautiful. The animation is fantastic. It's not too heavy on the action, which you would think for a medieval anime, like action would be kind of like paramount, but it's not. It's really just kind of like Frieren's been a mage for over 2,000 years. She's had time to build up her strength. Battles don't take very long with her. And it's just, it's really more about just like the relationships around her than it is the action and the drama of the situation. And then Fern is just absolutely adorable. Like I got my oldest daughter to start watching, and she immediately is like, "Can I be Fern for Halloween?" It's like, you're only 2 episodes in.
Are you subs or dubs guy? I gotta know.
I am a dub, and if I can, I will watch it with the subs. Just because I'm getting hard of hearing, and so I want to make sure I hear the things that I need to hear, or see the things that I need to hear.
Learn to read.
How are you going to go to the Japanese websites and play the import tax on your pillows if you can't read?
I'm pretty sure Google has a translate feature on Chrome.
That sounds pretty good, and I think I'm going to hold out until the Netflix live action
season 1. Season 1 is on Netflix, by the way.
Yeah, but it's not live action yet. That's the juice.
When it's worse, yeah, that's true.
That's what he's waiting for, the K-pop live action to come out next year.
Yeah.
Academy Award winning K-pop Demon Hunters.
Why would I watch
very much.
a cartoon when I could watch
a really
it against a
bad carbon
green
copy of
screen.
real people.
Yeah.
Hey, man, knock it, but the Netflix's Death Note was not as terrible as it could have been.
Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender was not as bad as it could have been, but it's still bad. It's like we've talked about with like the Justice League Snyder Cut. Just because it's not as bad as it was does not mean it's still not bad.
Hey, I'm waiting for the 400th season of One Piece before I judge Netflix's live action adaptation of One Piece.
Yeah.
The
You got to wait till it
hype-
hits 1,000 episodes.
Exactly.
Which with streaming, all the actors will have been replaced like 4 times over by the time they get to that point.
Hey, you recast those voice actors.
Matt, what you doing?
I'm going back to the gamer zone. I forgot to mention though, with Star Trek, Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti are in it. And Paul Giamatti is just like having a blast being he's really like going full Paul Giamatti in this show. And it's like chef's kiss. Anyway.
Almost as good as the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You know, Matt,
what?
Matt, I was looking over our store where I like just have fun making merch ideas that people could technically buy. They haven't, but they could technically buy it. And I saw that I had made a Chef's Kiss shirt for you.
Okay.
And I completely forgot that you had made that like your catchphrase for a little while. And then you just brought it back, and I was like, oh man, he still says it. So like it's still
classic.
relevant. It's still relevant merch.
Yeah, it's still available. Do I get a cut if anybody buys it?
No.
If someone buys one, I'll
great.
like
Yeah,
if someone buys that shirt, I'll let you have whatever 10-cent profit it is.
It's just my blood, sweat, and tears that you're profiting off of, theoretically. Anyway, Star Trek's good. You should watch it. But I'm going back to the gamer zone. This year happens to be Resident Evil's 30th anniversary. First game came out in 1996. And so this year, just a couple weeks ago, they released a brand new game, the ninth mainline game in the series, Resident Evil Requiem. And I've been playing that. I've played it for about a week and finished it, and it is good as hell. I don't know about that face that you're making right now that nobody else can see, but
Did you get the good ending or the bad ending?
I think there's just the one, but I don't know.
There's 2 endings.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a second then.
Well, we're not spoiling it, but I'm just I'm wondering.
So, yeah, derailed my train of thought.
It's
Game
it's
is
good you
good
thought it
as
was.
hell.
Game is good as hell. So the basic setup is it's a dual protagonist thing. You have one, Leon S. Kennedy, who has been in many of the games, starting with Resident Evil 2 in 98, returns. And also there's a new character, an FBI agent named Grace Ashcroft. And the idea is that it is sort of a blending of sort of the 2 gameplay styles of the recent games. Grace, and you can kind of toggle these in either way, any way you want, but the intended experience, according to the developers, is the Grace sections are geared more towards like the first person puzzle solving kind of specific survival. You're conserving ammo, you're trying not to fight too many enemies, sort of the mode of like Resident Evil 7, 8 to some degree, where the Leon sections are more of the like bombastic, like Resident Evil 4 style, third person view. You are just tearing ass against enemies, like doing insane backflips and like kicks, and you are loaded to bear with ammo and stuff. And I mean, the story's nonsense, but it almost always is in a Resident Evil game, but it is really cool to play. And Leon's portion of the game is very much about like going back to like the bombed out husk of Raccoon City and like revisiting some of those locations. And there's lots of like weird freaks that chase you around in the Grace parts. So that's cool. Very like Nemesis, Mr. X coded. And it's, it's cool because it's like the Grace parts are more of like the traditional zombies, but they're like zombies that for whatever reason, when they became zombies, they were like stuck in whatever they were doing when they died. So it's like there's one zombie in one area of this hospital you're stuck in who's like was turning off lights or something. So now all he does is like stands and turns this one light on and off, and you can like kind of juke him by like, oh, there's a light switch down the hall, and you go down and flip the switch, and suddenly he's like, oh, I gotta go flip that switch. So you can kind of juke around him that way. There's like a woman who is like cleaning up the bathroom, where if you like explode a zombie near her, she goes to clean it up. So you can like juke around her, kind of like that. Anyway, it's just a neat game, and I liked it a lot, and it looks great. And I don't remember specifically what the ending I got was. Apparently there's 2, but like I said, the story's kind of nonsense. So good videoed game.
Well, the story's always nonsense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, what I'm impressed by is we're like at 30 years, 9 main games, 75 spinoffs.
Yeah, right.
Releases of beta versions of original games as their own games.
Right.
The Resident Evil. We got Resident Evil 0 at one point because they like took levels from Resident Evil 2 that weren't finished, and yeah, it's fascinating how they've been able to milk this franchise, and yet they will dig themselves the deepest hole, and then they'll take like a year and go, we can build a ladder.
Yeah, right.
Because
yeah.
I mean, we've had what, 65 official releases of Resident Evil 4 at this point, and they just keep getting better.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing is like there's this period in, I don't know what it is, 2011 maybe, whenever Resident Evil 6 comes out, which like they position as like, so, there's Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, a couple other games. Resident Evil 4 is the one that does like shifts into like the big action mode.
Yeah.
And then that's like Resident Evil 4 and 5 are like very similar in that way. And then 6 is the game where they're like, we are going to try also similarly to blend these styles of games together. So it's like different campaigns with different characters, and each one is like a different mode of gameplay is the idea. And it's like a total, it sells very well, but it's like a total bust creatively, where everyone's like, we think maybe this franchise does not have the juice anymore. And then with 7, they come back with the first person stuff that's like more akin to like Resident Evil 1, like the real creepy house and stuff. And from then, you've got like 7, you've got Village, you've got Requiem, and then you've got remakes of 2, 3, and 4. And all of them, every single one of them, to some degree or another, are fucking bangers. Like, whatever happened after Resident Evil 6 that made them like take a look in the mirror, they like figured it out. And like, again, the stories are nonsense. They are like totally bonkers, like anime derogatory bullshit. But they feel great to play, and this is in the same vein.
Yeah, they went back to the beginning. They realized the things we love about Resident Evil. We love scary houses and big mommy doms who step on us, and then they just leaned into it.
Yeah,
and that's fantastic. And then they brought back Leon because because Leon's got to cook. He's got to cook. He's got to be sexy. He's got to be 75,000 years old, still infected or not infected. It doesn't matter. Leon is going to be there to save the day, like the muscle daddy he is.
And it's also it's such a funny game sometimes too, where like it's a minor spoiler, but the game is sort of split up into 2 chunks, like sort of not quite half and half, but like the first half of the game you were playing as Grace, and the second half of the game you're playing as Leon. But the Grace parts are often punctuated with little bits where it shifts to Leon mode, and the idea is like, okay, you've had all this intense, pulse pounding fear stuff. Now we're gonna let you fucking cut loose. Like, here's Leon doing something, and it's just like you just blast these motherfuckers. Like, take a break. And one of the early times you do that is like Leon goes to the hospital, and then a chainsaw zombie shows up, which is like a classic Resident Evil 4 thing, is like the chainsaw guy. And I'm doing this, and like I'm shooting this zombie, and then he drops the chainsaw. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize, because in Resident Evil 4, it's just the guy has a chainsaw and that's his thing. He never drops it. It's always on him. but this guy drops it and it starts like flipping around the room because it's like still going. And I'm like, oh, I can pick that up. And you get close, but it's flipping around. So it like hurts you. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then another zombie walks up and like tries to pick it up and then starts swinging it at me. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I get that guy down. And then it's like me and like 3 zombies like chasing this fucking chainsaw around the room. And I'm like hooting and hollering like a pig in shit. I'm like, it's just like weird gameplay moments like that are just like so fucking funny where we're all playing grab ass with a chainsaw trying to grab it, and then you grab it and it's like you're ripping through guys for like their paper.
Mhm.
Chef's kiss.
Second T-shirt sold. Boom. Can you even Venmo a dime, or was that something we're going to deliver in person, Josh?
I think I have to do the what is it, Twitch format where you have to earn up so much money and then I'll send you a check.
Let's just round up to $20. How about that?
Alex, what you doing?
There are 2 shows that are currently saving HBO right now. And
The Sopranos.
No, unfortunately
Game
not.
of Thrones.
No, that tried to kill it.
Euphoria
One of them has ended.
with what's her face's
Zendaya.
boobs?
Oh, Sydney Sweeney? No, that's going to come out in like 4 months and probably bomb. No, this is HBO having realized that
Young Sheldon.
they're doing another spinoff of that. I found out. I'm not kidding. There's another one.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised. It's the Big Bangiverse.
I'm glad Laura Lampkin
Yep.
is getting work. She deserves it.
It's called like Steward Saves the Universe or something like that.
Yeah.
The comic book.
It's about the
But
comic
no,
shop owner. Yeah. Anyway.
but no, there's a show called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms that has already been renewed and is coming back. 6 episodes, tightly constructed, fantastic. Small scale, about set before Game of Thrones, about a knight named Dunk and a bald kid named Egg. It's great. It's tight writing. It's well done. 6 episodes. Gonna come back. I love it. While that was airing, the show of the year has returned.
Scrubs.
Nope.
I already
no.
talked about Star Trek.
No, the Pit is back, and we're 10 episodes into the 15-episode season. It has not lost any pacing. It is still a compelling goddamn show. The cases are interesting. The dynamics, the way they spoon feed you things at like little bits and pieces about what happened over the 10 months to these people's lives, because they jump ahead 10 months. It's set on July 4th. So you have a heat wave in Pittsburgh. There was a case involving a furry who overheated because they were at some like fan thing and someone said, "Hey, what day is the new season going to be on?" He's like, "Oh, we're setting on July 4th. You do realize that's when Pitt Furry Con happens?" And he went writing it in. And sure enough, an overheated furry is hitting on the doctors, trying to convince her to come to join them and dress up like a dragon. It's fantastic. It's just these little things. And you can tell everyone loves being on the show. They're sweeping the awards thing right now. Apparently, Noah Wyle is like the first actor ever to win Best Lead Actor in all 3 in one season, like the major event shows, like SAG and Emmys and some other. Yeah, like he swept them all. He's the first actor to ever done that. But it's very cool because right now, like the second season is going on, the ratings are thankfully awarding them returning. They're about 300% up year to year, which shows that, if you release yearly and you build momentum, people return to your show versus taking years off to try to build this massive budget world spanning thing with, CGI out the ass, which I think is also kind of rewarding. At the same time, also rewarding A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Dunk and Egg show, because it was small, it was self-contained, it was kind of, they're already coming back. They're rewarding good storytelling, more small scale. There's no dragons involved. There's nothing overtly like, 7,500, a cast of 7,500 with all of them having political machinations, and you have to dive into this world. It's a fairly simple story. A dude buries the night he was serving. and he's trying to be a good knight in the Game of Thrones world. And this bald kid calls himself Egg, says, I want to be your squire, and some shenanigans happen. 6 episodes, tightly done, boom, over. You'll get some more next year.
And what
And-
I think what I've noticed, I haven't watched A Night of the Seven Kingdoms yet, but I think episode 1 is like a 52-minute episode,
Yep.
and then everything else is like 35 minutes or less.
Yep. The first one is the first one and the 5th one are a little longer. The others are like 30 minutes or less. It's impressive, and it's because they are sticking to the novellas, which they basically filmed every page of the novella and then added a little backstory with George's approval. Added some details, but it's great because it's not like I'm not feeling things being padded out. I know this world because there's two other shows that showed up that we've already had, but 9 seasons of 2 other shows. So the world is there. Oh, hey, that one's a Targaryen. That one is one of Robert's ancestors. Apparently there's a Stark somewhere in there. It's like, okay, cool. You live in that world, but you're a knight. Cool. You're going to do knight things. There's going to be a jousting tournament. Fantastic. Thank you. What's the story?
So I have one question.
Yes.
I don't think this is a big spoiler. I'm more or less just concerned that I've memory hold myself or I've forgotten something. I've heard like one of the big jokes at the end of the season, which again, this isn't really a huge spoiler. As Duncan and Egg are walking off into the sunset, Duncan says he wants to be a knight of the 9 kingdoms.
The joke is, so what happens is Dunk says, we can go to any of the 7 kingdoms. You're my squire. We can go to any of the 7 kingdoms. And Egg goes, there's 9. And he goes, no, there's 7. The phrase is a knight of the 7 kingdoms. And then Egg names them all. And it turns out that, if you actually add it up, there's actually 9.
So is that just a weird hiccup in the Game of Thrones lore, or is that just something that...
No, apparently what it is that like at one point, like the Crownlands were not considered their own land. And also like, I think the Riverlands got split into 2. So if you actually add them all up, there's 9. And so Egg,
Gotcha.
being learned, wants to make a pedantic argument, and then Dunk gets angry because he's like, no, everyone calls it the 7 kingdoms. It's the 7 kingdoms.
Gotcha. Okay.
Egg is a podcaster.
Yeah, because then he starts counting them all out, and Dunk's like, that's more than 7. Yeah. But no, the cast is great. You really love the main Baratheon guy, who is like one of the ancestors of Robert Baratheon. He's fantastic, and it feels, even though every episode is rated TV MA because there's a bunch of cursing and violence and a lot of male nudity, it feels almost homely, like, and kind of sweet to be watching. It's like, oh, hey, they're just kind of traveling along, as you said, Wolf and Cub.
I listened to the From Superheroes episode on because I didn't think I'd be watching the show, but I have recently come into an HBO Max subscription, so thank you for that. But the way that Andrew and Diana had put it was that it's like Ted Lasso meets A Knight's Tale in the Game of Thrones universe. And I was like, that sounds interesting.
I can see that. But yeah, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. And then the Pitt, I'm happy they're building on their momentum. And because they have figured out what they've massaged out a little bit of the season 1 oddities, little just hiccups they could have had, like starting off like episode 1 with with the overnight doctor debating suicide or not, and then some of the other there's some little oddities that they've kind of just massaged out. It's like, yeah, we're just keeping everything smooth. We are letting backstory be told by side conversations, and little intimate moments. And so I really dig it. And what I love about it is that it's so early in season. The seasons that the cast seems to just love the show. The way they talk about it, the way they post on their other socials and stuff, they just seem to be in love with the show and love that they're getting praise for being on the show.
Yeah, I have not seen either of these shows. Like basically everybody, I watched Game of Thrones to the end, right? And I watched it as it came out. I didn't hate the last season, but I kind of thought the finale kind of, for me, I'm someone who like genuinely believes even like the worst finale cannot retroactively ruin a show if you like at least a show that you liked, right? I think Game of Thrones is maybe like one of the rare exceptions to that. I've never gone back and rewatched it, but I'm like, everything you were doing, literally everything you were doing was in service to this moment, and
Yeah.
you fucked it up. And so like, House of the Dragon, I'm like, I have no interest. Like I hear it's good. I hear you like it. I don't have time for that in my life. And then obviously I'm like more I was going to say Lord of the Rings, Jesus, more Game of Thrones stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't need it. And then people are just talking about basically the same stuff you were saying. And I'm like, for the first time since, what was it, 2020, 2021 when the show ended?
2019.
2018, Jesus.
19,
I
sorry.
feel like I thought I was watching it in lockdown.
You might have tried to revisit it and you're like, no, I can't do it.
Maybe. Anyway, yeah. So since 2019, where I'm like, oh, maybe I should watch this because I hear it's really fucking good and it's not more of the same shit you were talking about with the constant vying for the throne. And then with the Pitt, it's like, I know it's good. I'm going to get around to it. Part of the reason I didn't get around to it yet is because it comes out on Thursdays, which is also when Star Trek came out. But maybe now that that's over, I'll dive into the first season. But it's like, it is just incredible to me how much it is sort of revolutionary in 2025, 2026 that doing a TV show like a TV show is successful, right? Like, obviously not every show got this chance, but like you were talking about the big increase in viewership in the second season. And like, it used to be that a show could do that, where it's like, it didn't have to be an immediate smash hit, even though the Pitt was.
Yeah.
But you could like find time to grow an audience, and that being consistent and having time to like just spend with these characters over the course of, I think the Pitt's 15 episodes, but it, traditionally used to be 20 plus episodes, is something that engenders interest in people, and it like makes you want to hang out with them. And like, not to keep bringing up my thing, but that's a thing that I saw a lot, that I felt a lot with this new Star Trek show. It's a 10 episode season, and it was designed in a similar way, where it's like, we're doing a bunch of episodes where we're just hanging out with the crew, but it's like, it's not enough time to like really get your hooks into these characters, right? Like, that's part of the problem with streaming, is it could be a great show, but you're never going to feel like they're your family the way, or that it's home the way like the Bridge of the Enterprise does, because you just are spending less time there. So it's like, really, even if I never watched the Pitt, I respect it because it is doing the thing I always say shows should do. It is being a TV show, and it is being rewarded for it.
That is the thing they used to do, is that they would take a successful show, and then right after it, they would air some new show or something different to see, is anyone interested in this? I mean, Seinfeld didn't become the biggest thing in the world until like the fourth season. The first season was like 6 episodes. Nobody watched it, but somebody at the studio went, all right, let's give them a second season. A few people watched it, and it slowly grew as they found their footing and stuff like that. So, and what I like about the idea of like the Pitt and this Song of Ice and Fire, I mean, not song, a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, is that you have a self-contained little part of the world that you're exploring. The Pitt is their set. They built the entire set of the ER department, and they don't really leave it. They step outside, or they go to the roof for a helicopter transport. That's it. They're not visiting the other floors. This is their world. This is their job shift for these 15 hours. A Night of Seven Kingdoms, it is basically 3 days in Dunk and Egg's life. And that's it. And we got this little exploration. We don't have to be traveling the entire world. We don't have to be, having our nuclear Armageddons and stuff like that. Josh, when we did our Fallout 2 thing, I mean, we were kind of impressed. It came back after like 18 months, but at the same time, there was some weirdness because of the time, and they're trying to tell 75 different stories all at once, reminding us who characters are.
Yep.
And it lagged a little bit. It wasn't as good as the first season. I mean, we still liked it over mostly, but they need to learn their lesson. They need to learn how to retain an audience and keep a story going.
I think there's room for that kind of thing, the big event thing that comes out every 2 years, but like TV is good and we figured out how to make it, and it's good when TV is made in the way that TV is made. And I like when it happens. I like, I don't think every show needs 30 episodes a season or whatever, but it was good when we had a show that's like, it's on from September to May, and every week you're going to check in with your buddies and have a little adventure, and then you're going to move on with your life. Chef's kiss. Like that's the juice. That's the sauce. And we fucked it up.
Yeah, I can't disagree. The only thing I've been really trying to time in, Matt, it's nothing important. I was just going to say, if you ever do give House of the Dragon a chance, season 1, really good, pretty much carried exclusively by Paddy Considine. And then I wouldn't recommend watching season 2 until season 3 comes out.
So
because season 2 got cut out.
So I should watch season 1, and then season 2 I can watch probably around like 2030.
Season 3 comes out this summer.
Oh, okay. Well,
season 3 starts this summer,
and they already announced.
Yeah, they cut.
Sorry, Josh. They already announced that season 4.
They cut season 2 short.
What you guys should try and say it simultaneously at the same time and match up.
Yeah, because editing that will not be great. So to finish my thing, season 2 got cut short, like in the middle of production. HBO, Warner Brothers just went, oh, by the way, you're not getting 10 episodes. Episode 7 or 8 is like,
weird.
That's it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we already like have done the build up to like the episode before the big thing. I think it ended at episode 8, which like Game of Thrones always did. Like episode 8 was like the build up to the big thing. Episode 9 was the big thing, and then episode 10 was like the build up to the next.
Yeah, it's
season.
very HBO thing where like the penultimate episode is like the big explosive one instead of the finale. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that's what they did. Like episode 8 was this big build up episode. There's something clearly coming in the next episode, and then like that's the season finale. See you in 4 years.
It's very weird. I don't know why I'm reminded of this, but like there's that period in 2020 where like all the TV shows like stop production. So then like in 2021, 2022, when things are kind of getting back up to speed, there's like, I'm thinking mostly of like a bunch of CW DC shows that come back and they're like, we have to spend 2 episodes just like finishing last season's story because we got cut off in the middle because there was a fucking pandemic.
Yeah, like, Supernatural had that problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, thankfully, HBO's already announced that it ends with season 4. So the thing about that is, I mean, it's based off of one of the novellas that Martin put out. So yeah, I mean, they got a story, they can finish it off. But this long wait, man. I mean, like, you got to wait for the dragons to grow up. You got to feed them. There's the taming of them. It's exhausting. You got to fit around the timey-wiminess of having one of the doctors from Doctor Who being one of your cast members. He's off filming stuff.
Yep.
Let's start wrapping up here. I'm not going to go too deep into honorable mentions, but I do want to throw out. I have also been watching season 3 of Shrinking, and it continues to just be like the best written show I've seen ever. The dialogue is just so great. So can't recommend that enough from Apple TV. Do either of you guys have an honorable mention?
I will jump quick off of that and say season 2 of Shrinking. I know like probably like a year ago I came to one of these with said, I'm watching Shrinking finally. And it's been like that slow going. Like an episode every couple of weeks when I find time that I'm just now in the middle of season 2. But I like it. It's good. And I'm looking forward to getting to season 3 sometime when they're in like season 5 or so.
I would recommend Kumail Nanjiani's comedy special, Night Thoughts, because
I heard about that.
He does a great maybe 10-minute bit about how people are mad at him for being fit.
Yeah, right.
And that he is staying fit to spite everyone. And of course, he talks a little bit about touching on the Eternals and the backlash I received about that, and how people like are yelling at him for being in the movie. And then, of course, he does dig on Marvel a bit because he talks about how I signed my life away to them and they promised me movies, and instead people hate me for being fit.
Yeah.
but then he also ends it with this beautiful this story of his cat having some health issues, and it got me right in the feels because his cat was having similar issues to one of my cats. And this basically the premise of the story was he had to give the cat like pills, which we had to suffer through that. And then when he got back from filming the stuff he was doing in London, he got back to LA. It turns out that there's actually just a cream you can rub on their ears. And I'm like, yes, there is. We found that out too. He's like, why would you give me pills that I have to strangle my cat to love her when I could have just rubbed her ear? It's just great because I didn't realize that he started off as a comedian and then transitioned into movies, and now he's taken the opportunity to start doing specials again. And he's funny and very topical, and he speaks to this day and age where you can talk about your struggles and as a form of comedy and a bit of a form of therapy versus comedians before like 2000. It was more of a, am I joking that I'm this fucked up?
Yeah, right.
Did I actually kill a hooker? You guys don't know. I'm just saying things and you're going to trust it. It's funny. Versus him actually, admitting the pains and traumas, and that it was very relatable, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's on my list. I need to get to it.
Yeah, some very much justified anger and humility.
You can let us know what you're doing in our Discord. And Matt, please let everyone know about the Discord.
Yeah, there's a link in the episode description. Is that right? To come join our Discord where we are hanging out, chatting, basically doing this when it's active. So if you like this, why not let me annoy you as much as I annoyed you just via text? I'm doing a really good job selling it.
So don't forget to click that link and join the Discord. You can follow us on social media. We do have a Letterboxd. We don't use it very often, but we have one. We've got Blue Sky, Facebook, and YouTube. You can follow us at Talking Smack Pod on these platforms. You can email us what you're doing or reviews or whatever you might be doing at tsmackpod@gmail.com. Thank you to Leo Allen for our musical themes and Beppo for our original avatars, Retro Ale Studios for our Ricky avatar. Please like, subscribe, rate, review on your podcatcher of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or any other place like Podbean that offers comments, feel free to leave those and let us know what you're doing there. Alex, there's some news out there that there's a website in development. Is there's truth to this rumor?
Yes, we are in fact actually building a website. It's where, so you can start going to it. It'll be tsmackpod@gmail.com. And we'll also be housing a few different...
That's an email address, not a website.
It'll be tsmackpod.com. We'll have links to our socials, links to all of our podcatchers, RSS feed. And also, Josh and I are going to try this thing. It's like speaking, but you read it. And we will have some, I think it's called a B-log. B-log? It'll be a new thing that we'll be putting some articles up there for you guys to read some of our deeper thoughts, such as things like, is it true that Matt loves Section 31 as much as we think he does?
Interesting.
And also you can always, maybe Matt will start his own Star Trek rewatch blog on there. Who knows what we can do with this thing. But there is a show out there that people should be watching. Fellas, what is that show?
I was gonna ask a different question actually. Hey, Leo Allen.
Okay.
Did you ever watch Deep Space Nine or what, man? Come back on the show and tell me about it.
Oh, that's a good point.
But
you guys can do a Deep Space Nine recap. Is there an anniversary coming up?
But if you didn't, just watch Star Trek, man.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.